Have you ever realized that one single dollar could quietly decide whether you stay broke forever or become free? Sounds ridiculous, right? $1? That's nothing. You work your ass off all week, get your paycheck, and by the time rent, taxes, and groceries are done chewing through it, saving $5 feels like a joke. But here's the cold truth. That tiny, almost meaningless dollar might be the first domino in a chain that separates people who stay trapped from those who escape. See, everyone wants the big leap, the promotion, the winning lottery ticket, the miracle investment. Nobody wants to believe that wealth is built in boring, invisible ways. But real financial freedom doesn't come from explosions. It comes from repetition, from small, quiet wins that compound in the background while everyone else is still waiting for their perfect moment. My name's Nick. I've spent years obsessing over why some people naturally drift towards stability while others stay stuck in the same anxious loop, working harder, earning more, yet never feeling safe. If you've ever wondered whether the game is rigged or if there's even a way out when you're starting from zero, stick around. Because what I'm about to tell you might completely flip the way you think about money. Let's start with reality. Most people aren't bad with money. They're just exhausted. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't a myth, it's the default. The average person has less than 2 weeks worth of expenses saved. 2 weeks. That means one unexpected bill, a car repair, a hospital visit, a layoff. And they're in panic mode, scrambling for help, drowning in debt, ashamed to even ask. But here's the part nobody talks about. You don't need a fortune to escape that trap. You don't need a 6-figure salary or some fancy degree. Sometimes, all it takes is that first tiny win. Research shows that saving just $1,000 can completely shift your mindset from fear to control. It's not the money itself, it's what it represents. It's proof that you can actually move the needle. And here's the psychology behind it. Your brain doesn't get motivated by giant, distant goals. It responds to progress it can feel. You save $50 and your brain rewards you with a little hit of dopamine like, hey, you did something right. So you do it again. Another $50, then $100. Now you're not the same person anymore. You're someone who saves, someone who's in control. That's how change really starts, not with fireworks, but with quiet consistency. Because the moment you realize that one small action, done repeatedly, can rewrite your future, that's when the game truly begins. Would you like me to extend this version into a complete voice-ready script, structured for pacing, pauses, and tonal delivery? For J2TAM next, it'll be optimized for a 2 to 3 minute read that hooks attention through the first 30 seconds. Commence paying $500 per month right away. After going crazy for 2 weeks, they become worn out, give up, and then spend the remainder of the year feeling bad. It is ineffective because to its excessive aggression and lack of alignment with the true nature of human drive. However, genuine change begins to occur when you enjoy your first $20 saved, appreciate tiny victories, and recognize the first month in which you didn't overspend on impulsive items. You're creating proof that you're capable of changing. You're demonstrating to yourself your capacity for self-control. And the evidence serves as the cornerstone for ever larger modifications. From a mathematical standpoint, this is where things start to get really interesting. The majority of people are unaware of compound interest's true power. As if they've heard the term before, I guess. They are aware that Albert Einstein allegedly referred to it as the eighth wonder of the world or something, but they do not truly comprehend the implications for their financial situation. Allow me to demonstrate. Let's say you choose to save simply $50 every month. $50. That is essentially $2 each day. Perhaps a nice cup of coffee once in a while. Nothing noteworthy. You put in a dull investment account that yields 7% a year, which is historically true for the stock market and rather conservative. About $600 will be yours in the first year. About $30 will be your return. This isn't particularly exciting, but bear with me. By the 5th year, you have roughly $3,400. By year 10, you've reached roughly $8,000. By year 15, you are approximately $13,500. This is where things start to go crazy. You're about $19,500 by year 20. The trick is that you made about $2,000 in returns on your investments that year alone, which is more than you invested for the entire year. Your monthly gift of $50 remained constant. However, compound interest is now handling the majority of the work. You are approximately $40,000 by year 30. That's only $50 a month. That's just little victories added together over time. However, here is the part that goes beyond the numbers and is actually important. Your entire perspective changes when you begin to notice that money is growing, even if it is slowly. You simply cease seeing money to be something that simply vanishes from your paycheck. You begin to regard it as a useful tool for you. You begin to realize that discipline and time are essentially equivalent to money. You will need to contribute less of your own funds the longer you allow your money to grow. And that insight alters the way you decide on everything else in your life. All of a sudden, the cost of coffee is more than simply an expense. You may use the $3 to better yourself in the future. That dinner from the restaurant is more than just a meal. The funds in your investing account have the potential to increase. This does not imply that you never enjoy anything. Rather, it indicates that you're choosing deliberately rather than merely going with what feels right at the time. Furthermore, after 10 or 15 years, those who make thoughtful financial decisions, no matter how minor, find themselves in a totally different financial position than those who don't. Small victories are intriguing because they produce a psychological reinforcement loop that facilitates bigger victories in the future. You are pleased with yourself when you save your first $100. Your desire to maintain the habit stems from that pride. You therefore save an additional $100. You have $200 now. That $200 in a savings account serves as tangible evidence of your ability to create something. It is no longer theoretical. It's true. And all of a sudden, that $200 serves as inspiration to keep going. Perhaps you decide that you want to reach $500, then $1,000. Because you've previously accomplished each milestone, the next one appears more attainable. You have demonstrated it to yourself. For this reason, those who are successful at accumulating wealth frequently discuss how crucial it is to gain that first victory. Reaching your second grand is notably simpler once you've saved your first, as you've already formed the routines and mentality. You've rewired your brain to think about money in such a way that by the time you're working on your fifth or 6,000, it hardly feels like a sacrifice anymore. You've developed into a saver. You're not doing this temporarily. It now forms a part of who you are. Furthermore, identity has a tremendous influence on behavior. Consider the distinction between someone who declares, "I'm trying to save money," and someone who declares, "I'm already a saver." These are two entirely distinct ways of thinking that lead to entirely different results. When things become difficult, the individual making an effort is likely to give up. The individual in question will figure out a way to make it work. And that change in identity is brought about by little victories. Another indication that you are a financially responsible individual is every dollar you save. That identity is reinforced each time you avoid needless expenses. Additionally, your brain wants to behave in a way that is congruent with your self-perception. Therefore, if you consider yourself to be a saver, you will continue to save even in the face of adversity. Let me now explain why. When you begin to routinely accumulate these little victories, you'll see what truly changes in your life. Your stress levels first decrease. It's not a metaphor. Research indicates that one of the main reasons of anxiety and sleep issues is financial stress. Your nervous system is always on high alert when you have no financial cushion at all. However, your cortisol levels drop as soon as you have even a tiny emergency fund from those little wins. You have more restful sleep. What matters is that you're less agitated. Second, you make better decisions. You make bad decisions when you're broke. You accept subpar employment because you require quick cash. You remain under unfavorable circumstances. But you can be picky when you have money behind you. You have the ability to decline poor opportunities. You can spend money on schooling. Third, you become less confident. You become defensive and nervous when you have no financial foundation. But you stand taller with even small savings. Your negotiating skills are superior. You're not in a desperate situation. People react appropriately when they perceive this. which frequently results in improved prospects. Fourth, you begin to perceive opportunities rather than merely dangers. Every choice you make when living paycheck to paycheck has an impact on your survival. However, you may think strategically when you save money from little victories. You're able to assess opportunities. This explains why wealthier people appear to have greater luck. It's not a stroke of luck. It's that they have space to recognize favorable possibilities and make wise choices. The impoverished individual cannot afford to assess. They simply seize whatever is offered. However, I want to draw attention to something really significant because I see a lot of people misunderstand this. Little victories don't have to require drastic sacrifices that ruin your life. In actuality, that is ineffective. If saving money seems like a never-ending deprivation, you will eventually burn out and give up. Small victories are important because they can be sustained. You're not abandoning your social life completely. For a year, you will not consume rice and beans. You're making minor changes. Instead of skipping every coffee, you're skipping only one. Instead of 5 times a week, you're cooking 3 times at home. Instead of getting the newest phone, you're searching for a more affordable phone plan. Over time, these small adjustments that scarcely affect your quality of life add up to significant financial gains. Additionally, you may continue practicing them because they are sustainable, and the charm is produced by that constancy. Instead of adopting an unsustainable crash diet approach to finance, you're creating a lifestyle that you can genuinely sustain. I want to discuss a particular phenomenon that occurs when minor victories begin to add together. Your money begins to work harder for you than you are for it at a certain point. And when you realize it's happened, it's crazy. Let's imagine you have $5,000 saved up and it generates 7% a year. This indicates that the returns on your investments are around $350 annually. You didn't have to work for $350. $350 was created simply by leaving your funds in an investing account. That may not seem like much, but consider the psychological implications. You have 2 options: either labor for a further week or 2 to earn $350, or just leave your money alone. That is where compound interest power is beginning to manifest. Additionally, your passive income increases in tandem with your savings from these minor but reliable victories. When you have $20,000, your annual investment returns come to $1,400. It is $3,500 by $50,000. It's $7,000 by $100,000. Your investment returns eventually surpass your income from employment. At that point, you understand that your financial situation will actually improve. You made tiny, regular decisions that added up over time, not because you suddenly found yourself with a lot of money. That is the true power of modest financial gains. Right now, they don't seem dramatic. Every single choice seems unimportant. However, the cumulative effect of years of these minor choices drastically alters your financial reality. The hardest part, and the thing that most people find difficult, is that the biggest little victories come before any significant outcomes. When your savings account is still small, you must maintain your discipline. When you have $1,000 and it doesn't seem like it's making any progress, you must keep going. When there is no proof that your habits will work, you must continue with them. The majority of folks fail there. After a few months of doing the right things and seeing little change, they decide it's not working and give up. However, those who persevered through that tedious stage and continued to make little victories, even when they seemed futile, are the ones who wind up being affluent. And by year 5, 10, or 15, all of a sudden, they're staring at real riches that they've accumulated one little choice at a time. You know who realized that this was a long-term game, not a sprint? I want you to comprehend the compound effect of modest victories. Money is not the only consideration. It has to do with discipline. You're not merely accumulating wealth with each little financial victory. You're strengthening your delayed gratification mentality. You're demonstrating to yourself that you may have desires, decide not to pursue them at this time, and still be content with that. That's one of the most important human talents you can acquire, and it affects every other aspect of your life. Individuals who are able to postpone financial satisfaction are typically also able to postpone other things. Because they concentrate on long-term results, they perform better at their occupations. Because they don't always aim for instant emotional gratification, they enjoy healthier relationships. Because they see that even seemingly insignificant everyday routines add up, they take better care of their health. Small financial gains are improving you in all aspects of your life, not just increasing your fortune. So, this is my real recommendation. You're not if you're feeling like you're too far behind to ever catch up after looking at your financial account right now. You're not, I assure you. Rarely do those who go on to amass significant fortune begin with an advantage. They begin just where you are, broke, anxious, and questioning whether it's even possible. And then they achieve their first minor victory. They save their first $50. One needless expense was eliminated. They figure out a single method to earn a little extra cash. The following week and month, they repeat the process. And even when it seems meaningless, they continue. They awaken in the third, fifth, or seventh year and discover they have truly created something. They have real savings. They have real investments. They are truly financially secure. And this isn't the result of good fortune or wise investments. It occurred as a result of their compounding little but steady victories. That's all. It's the whole secret. Well, there isn't a secret recipe. No shortcut exists. It only takes patience, consistency, and little victories. And you currently have access to all three of those. No matter how much money you have, the little victories don't matter. You could begin with $50. You can start with $5. Perfection is not necessary for consistency. You don't have to be perfect. You simply have to be present most of the time. In any case, time is really flying by. In any case, you will be 5 years older in 5 years. The question is whether you'll be 5 years older and in precisely the same situation as you are today, or 5 years older and with a lot more financial security. I'm sure which one I would choose. This is what I want you to do then. Choose just one tiny victory. Perhaps it's saving $20 every week. Eliminating a subscription that you don't actually use could be the solution. Perhaps it's preparing one additional meal at home rather than going out to eat. Choose something so insignificant that it hardly qualifies as a sacrifice, and then make a commitment to carry it out for the upcoming month. Only for a month, not forever. After 30 days, evaluate the experience. Have you done it? What was the sensation? Would you repeat the action? And excellent if the response is yes. Continue, and perhaps include one more minor victory. Perhaps you save an additional $10 per week. On Sundays, you might prepare meals. Perhaps you can bargain for a lower price on something you already pay for. Every little victory builds upon the previous one. Every one facilitates the subsequent one. And before you realize it, a whole system of minor victories is building up to actual financial stability. That's how you move from your current situation to your desired one. Not by a significant change, but rather by a series of tiny decisions that add up over time. The real source of riches is the compound interest of discipline, and anyone may access it, not just those who are fortunate or wealthy by birth, as long as they're prepared to put in the time and effort to earn modest but steady gains. Thus, get started right away. Not now, not next month, not tomorrow. Choose your first minor victory and dedicate yourself to it for 30 days. The choice you make now will be appreciated by your future self.